Hello guys, I want to officially welcome us to Thyroid Care Hub. This is a platform where I'll be sharing with us my thyroid journey experiences and also healthcare tips on how you can take care of your thyroid. Please do stay back and listen to the rest of the video. Guys, it's 1 month post thyroid surgery and I'm super grateful to God. I made the decision to go on for this surgery. This is my scar. I'm super grateful to God that it's not forming any keloid scar. It's not hypertrophic. I'm just so grateful. This is the first surgery scar. It's almost clearly gone, and this is the second surgery scar.
When I think
Wow.
about the love that you've shown me, my imagination has turned to reality. Oh my God, oh, you do this one, oh, oh, you do this one, oh, hey.
If you have any questions or any comments regarding thyroid issues, thyroid conditions, you can drop them down in the comment section so that we can, discuss and please, talk about. For proper guide and to avoid misinformation, I am not a health practitioner. I'm just a reoperative thyroidectomy survivor who is compassionate about sharing my experiences so that those who are living with thyroid condition and thyroid abnormalities can learn one or two things from my story, and I hope this is going to affect the life of everyone listening in a positive way. My thyroid journey began as far back as year 2010, 2011, while I was in my early 20s, trying to round up with my tertiary education in Anambra State University. I was doing my clearance to be able to join the NYSC batch as at then. So I began to realize that I was losing a whole lot of weight. The weight loss was drastic that people around me began to question my status, and my loved ones were like, I should go and have a proper medical checkup. Having lost my dad in my 300 level, I was only left in the care of my mom. So I had to go check my HIV status, and it came out negative. So here is the big question. What could bring about the weight loss? We began moving from one hospital to another, trying to find out the reason for this drastic weight loss. The symptoms were outrageous. Like, weight loss was the only visible symptom I was experiencing then, but I had a couple of other symptoms that you wouldn't visibly notice on me. I was very irritable. I was overly nervous. I couldn't stand 2, 3, 5 persons, not to talk of a crowd. I had anxiety. I experienced hair loss, brittle nails, cold intolerance, name it. It was a whole lot, and this kicked off my journey from hospital to hospital, looking for proper diagnosis of what my problem was. So on a very good day, we came across a gathering of people. We questioned what was happening there. Someone told us that they were running a test. This time around, it wasn't a blood test. They were testing people's body analysis using a particular machine that was new as at that time. This machine I'm talking about is common now, but then it was newly invented, and being that it's something new, a lot of people, the crowd gathered there, and everybody's trying to get their self checked. So my mom was like, don't you think we should try this out too? So I had to queue up and wait for my turn. It's a machine that you just hold one of the apparatus on it, and they will just start the system. Then it will run through all the body analysis, starting from the cardiovascular, the liver, kidney, every part of the human body. Anyone would doubt such a machine. So, but finally, I was tested. We are able to get the cause of my weight loss. I was diagnosed of hyperthyroidism. Now, I actually had something to deal with. I forgot to mention that I also had heart palpitations, these irregular heartbeats, at intervals. So I began to do further research about hyperthyroidism, causes, what went wrong, how did I get these. Part of my research pointed to lack of iodine. Another angle pointed to stress-induced conditions. But the very confusing thing here is that unlike the second nodule I had, you could visibly see a nodule on my neck. But for this time, like the first time I realized I had hyperthyroidism, there was no visible nodule on my neck. The nodule was right there. It was still undergoing its growth process, but you cannot visibly say that I had a goiter. So I had to do a rerun. Now I know exactly what I am in for. I now went back to the hospital to run a thyroid function test. So there were abnormalities, visible abnormalities in the ranges of my T4, my T3, my TSH. All those things were quite abnormal. I always run checks on my neck. I'll be like, they said hyperthyroidism, this is related to goiter. And I kept on wondering, but nothing is visibly showing on my neck. Until one day, while I was looking at the mirror, dressing up, I swallowed. And I realized that there is something around here in my neck that goes up and down when I swallow. I had to rush back to the hospital, to the doctor. The doctor said, yes, that's the nodule and it has to be removed, because if the nodule wasn't removed, it could keep growing, enlarging until it becomes that visible goiter I see on people's neck. Wow. Now I knew I had the thing to deal with. The doctor spoke about removal. I stared at him in dismay, because in medical terms, anything removal has to do with surgery. So now, how am I going to undergo surgery? A young girl in her early 20s, surgery on the most delicate places of my neck. How is that possible? So my darlings, we're going to be having a break here. Don't forget to follow so that you can get an update on the next video on how I was able to opt in for the surgery. Thank you and remain blessed. Bye bye.